I think that from where we sit, we feel like the property law or the legal questions are really the central issue there, and that's not necessarily a geology or a hydrology question. So in many respects, we feel that actually having the legislators talk through this question with a bunch of attorneys and figuring out the implications of second restatement of torts and all those things, then you can decide whether you want to do something about modified absolute dominion or not.
I think some of the fear we heard from the audience during the hearings is the fear that international agreements will take some of Maine's ability to control its fate away from us. And in all the hearings, I'm not sure we ever really got a very concrete answer to that. And there are resources that are out there that want to pursue that discussion. So I would like to see some kind of investigation of that go forward. And I'm looking for a means for doing that on the cheap.
Mr. Fisk, I talked to him afterwards about why this was an important bill, and as I recall, you said you thought it would help clarify some things that we've been struggling with, as has been mentioned. Perhaps we should table it and see if we could come up with a mechanism that wasn't perhaps a blue ribbon panel, but some way of trying to answer some of these questions, or at least think about them.
My own thinking is that if we just kill this bill, we're going to have to deal with another 10 water bills next session, because we won't have actually addressed the fear that is out there. I think we may have addressed some of the fears about, is our regulatory framework enough to control the resource itself? And a number of bills addressed that, and the answer from us was a pretty unanimous and quick, yep, we're okay there. The ownership issue, that may come back in some other form. I'm sure it will sooner or later. The how are we interacting with international agreements question has really been unfleshed out, and that was the source of an awful lot of fear when international companies with international trade agreements are able to operate in Maine under that framework. Does that trump any of our laws in ways we haven't considered? I don't know. I can't even answer that for a nervous public, so if I can't answer it, I'm not sure whether it's an easy answer. I represent
It sounds like we need some legal thinking as well as some commerce thinking.
And I think that the bill does address that by having someone from the Citizen Trade Policy Committee as a member of that.
I think what we're supposed to be looking at are legal issues in terms of property rights. Perhaps we would want to check with the Attorney General to see if she couldn't, in that office, bring people together and consult with the DEP.
I would second Senator Simpson's. I think your first ask would be to the Attorney General's office, and then I think certainly between Maine Geologic Survey and the Drinking Water Program and DEP, we can certainly be present.
Realistic to me now. Could we simply frame a question or two or three that we want the Attorney General to address to get the conversation started, so we can get something back in writing that we can read and begin to understand the broad outlines of these issues, these legal issues that are implicit here?
I would like to see that as some sort of resolve, and so that we can hear on it and that the public knows that these are very important questions, that we've heard their questions and that we're trying to find the answers to them.
It seems to me that those legal questions have to be addressed first, because there may not be a need for a stakeholder group. So it seems to me the sequencing should be the letter to the AG's office with properly framed questions, seeing what the answer is, then a resolve whenever.
I think the bigger question is legally, how does Maine fit into the international framework of agreements? Do international trade agreements trump Maine law when it comes to a company coming in and exercising its rights to withdraw water and carry it off to New York City?
I'm concerned about that position because I'm wondering how far those arguments could go in regards to all of our natural resources and other products and so forth manufactured here in the state. I think it'd be good to get those questions answered.
Number 5 of the duties, which are the potential consequences of granting water-taking rights to a company with the status of a foreign investor under international trade agreements. I mean, that's what it now sounds like. Mm-hmm. It's boiled, thinking now of getting a response back this year.
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
To me, this issue isn't a stakeholder issue. It's an answer by either a court of law or we get an opinion from the Attorney General's office, and the issue should be complete then. I think I agree with Senator Smith that we could turn this issue around quickly. However, I don't know what the actual question will be.
The question, I guess, would be basically what's number 5 in here. What are the consequences of granting water-taking rights to a company with the status of a foreign investor under international trade agreements?
Informally inquire of the Attorney General's office about a time frame for doing that, and then I'll report back to you.